How's it going, everybody? My name is Dr. Rich Hilsden. I'm a trauma surgeon, and welcome to my channel, Knife Skills. So today I'm going to do another Glaucomflecken reaction video, and I want to say thank you to everyone in the comments who suggested that I continue to react to these videos. I really appreciate your support, and I'm not sure exactly what it is that you love about it. Maybe it's the dry, humorless take. Maybe it's the fact that I really do analyze things down to the level of a journal club, and you can get really right into the mind of a surgeon. But for whatever it is, I appreciate those comments, and I'm here to do another reaction video. So today we're going to react to The Easygoing Surgeon. Came out a few weeks ago, and I'll kind of give you my sense as to Dr. Glaucomfleckens' perspective on the surgical world.
Good morning, doctor. We have a new med student working with us today. Hi, I'm excited to be here. We're happy to have you. Please be nice. Of course I'll be nice. Don't let them scare you. I'm not like the other surgeons, all right? I'm really easygoing.
So I'm going to pause it right here. So Dr. Glaucomfleckens' world, hats play a really important role. If you think about the ER doctor who wears a bike helmet, or the pediatric doctors that wear little crowns on their heads and that type of stuff, hats help us distinguish, who's who in the doctor's world. And Glaucomfleckens done an interesting thing here. He's chosen the bouffant cap for a nurse, the disposable bouffant cap for the medical student, and the skull cap, specifically a reusable skull cap for the surgeon. Now, what he's done here is he's actually chosen to make the characters, certainly the nurse and the doctor, not gender neutral. So most of Glaucomfleckens' characters really could be a male doctor, female doctor, male nurse, female nurse, doesn't really matter. He really portrays them in a gender neutral way. But here he's specifically chosen to place the nurse role as a woman and the doctor role as a man. Now, why has he done this? Well, the main reason is the operating room, for good or bad, actually, you can really think about whether this is even appropriate, is one of the few places in the hospital where there is typically gender normative clothing. So in the operating room, the vast majority of women will have longer hair and will need a larger cap to control that hair, whereas men tend to wear their hair in a shorter fashion. And so a skull cap, like demonstrated here in the surgeon, is an appropriate hat to wear in the operating room. This can become a bit of a controversial and complicated issue. Back in 2017-2018, the Association of Perioperative Registered Nurses came out with a recommendation that all members of the OR team should be wearing hair coverings that cover the ear in order to avoid stray hairs, decrease bacterial contamination of the wounds, etc., for patient care. Now, immediately there was resistance from surgeons. In fact, the American College of Surgeons made the statement saying essentially that the skull cap is a traditional look of the surgeon. It represents surgery, and there really shouldn't be a reason to not wear the skull cap. And of course, the perioperative nurses made the statement that the science that was available suggested that there was a greater risk of bacterial contamination, greater risk of infection if you weren't wearing a hair covering that covered your ears. Well, the surgeons challenged this, felt that the evidence that was being used, the science that was being quoted to at the time, didn't meet the standard to actually impose a change in hair covering among the surgeons. So they went out and did their own experiments. They've actually found that the disposable bouffant caps, which is what was being promoted, actually had a much higher rate of bacterial contamination than reusable cloth skull caps. And so that really caused a backing down of the policies. And if you were in the hospital at the time, you would have remembered that many hospitals adopted the perioperative nurses guidelines and recommended no skull cap, no reusable caps, those types of things in the operating room, and there was a big change. Now, they were forced to back this down once there was more evidence. But this is where the thing gets interesting from my perspective, because in my mind, there was no new data that promoted this change in hair covering. I think some of it was related to these gender norms in the operating room. In 2018 and certainly in 2022, the majority of surgeons in the US and Canada are men, and the majority of nurses, perioperative nurses, are women. Now, that is changing for sure. But if you walk into an operating room, you can potentially see, based on head covering alone, a difference in role that might be perceived as potentially a barrier for people pursuing careers in those various roles. You see men looking one way and playing one role in the operating room, and women looking another way and playing another role in the operating room. And so it's reasonable to say that gender normative clothing in the operating room in 2022 is actually a problematic issue. And it would be reasonable for an organization like the Association of Perioperative Registered Nurses to say, hey, gender normative clothing in the operating room is actually a problem. We should discourage that use. And there is a hair attire that you can wear that men and women can both wear, and that is the bouffant cap. And you could encourage the hospitals to adopt policies that say we should be more inclusive in the operating room, and so everyone should wear the unisex, the hair covering that works for everyone, which is the bouffant cap. Unfortunately, when that political agenda, if that's what it was hidden behind science or the lack thereof, that created some way a false flag, created a level of resistance that opposed that change, which I don't think would have been the case had a more authentic political statement been made saying, hey, our operating rooms should be inclusive. People shouldn't be dressing differently based on their gender, because that's going to place barriers to people taking on different roles. And I think it would have been accepted differently. And so Dr. Glaucomflecken here, intentionally or not, has used the nurse with the bouffant cap and the surgeon as the skull cap to differentiate those two, really highlighting that the operating room is one of those few places where there actually are gender normative attire, for good or bad.
Like the other surgeons, all right, I'm really easygoing. What's the blood pressure doing? Okay, make it better, please. Can we check the blood pressure, please? The patient's moving. Why is the patient moving? Look, I only get paid to do my job. Don't expect me to do yours, too. Bed up. Bed down. Put the bed exactly where I want it, please. Reverse Trendelenburg. That's regular Trendelenburg. I need reverse Trendelenburg. Doctor...
Okay, so this beginning clip is the surgeon talking to an imaginary anesthesiologist. Of course, the operating room is a team, and I absolutely love the operating room because it's a team. That's one of the main reasons why I became a surgeon. I've always said to my trainees that the operating room is the best team in the hospital, the most efficient, most practical team in the hospital, and I'm proud to be part of that. Of course, as a surgeon, you have certain needs, and you can only address them to a certain degree. So obviously here, this case, the surgeon's communicating to the anesthesiologist about the blood pressure, communicating to the anesthesiologist about the bed positioning, which is a huge thing. In my cases, I need to have the bed in a bunch of different positions. So for example, he's asked the anesthesiologist to put the bed in reverse Trendelenburg. So Trendelenburg position is this head down position where the feet are above and the head is down. And really the concept was, when Trendelenburg invented this, was that patients with low blood pressure, you could divert blood flow to the brain, increasing the cerebral perfusions. This was one of the concepts of being in the Trendelenburg position. The reverse Trendelenburg position is the head above the feet, and we use it in the operating room multiple times, basically to get access to the upper abdomen. It allows the intestines and other organs to fall away, and it helps us access that part of the patient. So we do reposition the patient all the time in the operating room. So of course, sometimes when you say reverse versus Trendelenburg, there can be confusion. That's why he was making this comment saying Trendelenburg should be rolling in his grave. Now, another interesting thing is I took the chance to look up Google Trends. Interesting, if you look at the global search results for Trendelenburg, when Dr. Glaucomflecken brought his video, it actually came out around the very end of March. The score was 83. At the very beginning of April, when his video was circulating around, it had its highest search over the last entire year. So I actually believe, and I may be wrong, because they say correlation does not mean causation, but the fact that Glaucomflecken brought up this video and was talking about Trendelenburg, I think people were looking up Trendelenburg, and you can see a spike in worldwide interest. I'm, of course, in Canada. You can see quite a pronounced spike around the time that Glaucomflecken's video came out. So clearly people were searching Trendelenburg at that time.
Dr. Trendelenburg is rolling over in his grave right now. It's way too hot in here. Turn the temp down, please. It's not as low as it can go. Make it colder. Well, then call HVAC and tell them to make it colder. I'll tell you where the money went. Right into hospital administrators' pockets. Okay, I'll take that instrument I like. I don't know. Just hand it to me, please. Yeah, and they just keep hiring more administrators. Why are you handing me this? Yeah, I wanted it 5 minutes ago. It's useless to me now. Throw it away. Why isn't my equipment working? Why isn't this working? Okay, fine.
Okay, so in the operating room, we need to get a lot of help from nurses. Sometimes we have the right equipment, sometimes we don't. And obviously that can cause some stress and complaints. And it's interesting. Sometimes we'll want a very particular instrument just for that right moment. And if we don't have it, it can be frustrating, and we can make it do. And then maybe the nurse will go ahead and get the instrument. They have to get it from the medical device reprocessing department. It comes up to the operating room. And by the time it comes up, you've already passed that stage in the case. You've finished that step. And so sometimes you'll ask for an instrument. It seems super urgent. And then in time, it becomes a lot less urgent and less important. That's what's being demonstrated here.
Okay, find someone to explain to me why this isn't working. Listen, I care about social issues. You'll understand once you start paying taxes. Who are you? Why what doesn't work? I don't even care. Hey, why are the drapes like this? No, the drapes were better last time. What do you mean they're different drapes? Why are we using different drapes? Is it the hospital administrators? Did the administrators get to you? Administrators, every single time. Anesthesia. Hey, anesthesia. Oh, anesthesia. I drove the BMW in today. Something wrong with the Porsche. I don't know. I had to take it in.
I love that finish. So obviously we do like to complain a lot in the operating room. We're very dependent on our team. And so I think naturally when you're so dependent on someone else, there is a degree of opportunity for complaint. But I love the way Dr. Glaucomflecken finishes it. I think it's perfect. At the end of the day, this is a surgeon who's driving the hospital with a BMW and a Porsche. Really, how much does he have to complain about? Thank you for watching. My name is Dr. Rich Hilson. You've been watching my channel, Knife Skills. I really appreciate every like and comment that you have. If you have any other videos that you'd like me to react to, if there are any other YouTubers, doctors on YouTube you would like me to take a look at, please leave that comment below. I enjoy all those comments and really get inspiration from it. Once again, thanks for watching. Have a great day.